Starting off our list, at number 10 is Rachel Ray. The celebrity chef and TV personality has her own daily talk show where her fans book tickets to her show on a daily basis so that they can be a part of the live experience. But apparently her personality differs when you see her live compared to when she's behind your screen. On TV, Rachel's personality is bright and friendly, but one fan who attended the live show said differently. A fan took her personal review to TripAdvisor and rated her experience a 1 star out of 5. Her review had a whole story of her experience, and in it she stated, "When she came out to greet the audience, she was cold, even seemingly annoyed that she had to do the show. She complained, she rolled her eyes, and was not at all the perky, spunky personality we have come to know on her show." The fan went on to say that she also treated her staff poorly by saying things to them like, "Use your head." Honestly, in my opinion, my only advice is to just go see Ellen next time. You always know you're gonna have a good time at Ellen DeGeneres' show. Moving on to number 9, we have Mike Myers. Fame must have gone to his head from the success of his movies because the director for Cat in the Hat opened up and revealed a story of him being a complete diva and demanding ridiculous things. She did an interview back in 2008 and explained that while filming the movie with Mike, she often found it difficult to perk up his dark mood. She told the story that the actor actually stormed off set because he was infuriated that there was no margarine for his bagel. Only butter. Sources said the actor was so angry because he suffered from hypoglycemia, but that was later cleared up by the actor's rep who confirmed that he doesn't. The movie's director went on to say, "He was emotionally needy and got more difficult as the shoot went on." She admitted that she actually put her young daughter in charge of making sure that he had whatever snack he needed at any given moment. Margarine and butter are not that different. Like, literally not that different. Sliding into number 8 is Sandra Bullock. You're probably a little surprised to hear her name on this list because you don't see the actress making negative headlines very often. However, there have been some reported stories that suggest her celebrity status may have gone to her head a little bit. Back in 2012, a woman came forward and told Star magazine that Sandra was one of the meanest people in Hollywood. Turns out that she had a run-in with the actress while she was out with her husband, who was a veteran in a wheelchair. She was filming her movie The Heat in Boston at the time and was on a film break when she ran into her on the streets. Denise said that her husband asked Sandra for an autograph, but she covered her face and yelled at him. It's hard to believe that side of her since we're used to seeing her play a character like the compassionate mother in The Blind Side, but it is not the only story online that exposes her for being rude to her fans. I did some research. She's got some sass. In spot number 7 is Paris Hilton. She's had many diva moments throughout her career, and some would say that the fame went to her head when she built her dogs a mini mansion. Back in 2017, she tweeted out a picture of it and said that it has air conditioning, heating, designer furniture, and a chandelier. That sounds nicer than anything I've ever owned in my condo. I love how she had to let everyone know that the furniture is designer. She didn't just say furniture. She had to say designer furniture. You could tell that she enjoys the fame because when an interviewer brought up the fact that maybe it was lacking, she got mad and walked out of the interview. The interviewer asked if she ever gets worried that her moment has passed.
You want to wrap up?
When I was curious about one thing going back to...
What followed was a long, heated conversation.
Sliding into number 6 is Mariah Carey. On many occasions, she has been defined as a diva, from her different public feuds to her legendary MTV Cribs episode. She has done some things that could give her this title. I think it would depend on who you ask though. But if you ask Will Ferrell, he will give you some examples of how the fame has gone to her head, because that is exactly what he did during an interview. In 2017, he did an interview on Watch What Happens Live and shared that Mariah was supposed to have a cameo in his film called The House. He's not usually the gossipy type, but he revealed that she showed up on set 4 hours late and then started to demand certain things, including the refusal of doing a scene which she had approved of beforehand. She was removed from the film, and Will's co-star Cedric Yarbrough called Mariah, I quote, "unprofessional and borderline abusive to our director." That is not a good look, my friend. We're halfway through at number 5 and we got Nicolas Cage. He was huge during the 90s, starring in one hit after another. He was titled one of the biggest actors in Hollywood at the time, making a reported $20 million per movie. CNBC actually reported that at one point he was worth $150 million, which almost seems like totally unfair. Like, no one deserves that amount of money. Like, not one person. But it looks like the fame and money went to his head because reports show that he started spending it all like crazy. He owned 15 multi-million-dollar homes across the globe, one of which was a $3.4 million haunted mansion in New Orleans. He also bought 2 castles in Europe, apparently, but all of his spending has left him with some financial struggles now. And let's not forget, he actually owed $40 million at one point because he did not pay the IRS. Here now at number 4 is Tna Mongeau. She is now one of the biggest female YouTubers on the platform, but over time her fans have turned into haters, and it is because of her growing ego. When she first started YouTube, people praised her for being different because she was always so relatable with her audience. Like, you could tell she was just super down to earth, and she often joked about how broke she was, making light of basically every hard situation. But ever since she gained fame, she's just been very different. She brags about her money, photoshops all of her pictures, and let's not forget about the Mercedes-Benz she bought and the Las Vegas wedding she had in 2019. Which she admitted later on that it was all for clout. It was fake. I mean, to stage an entire engagement and wedding all for money and attention, you know that fame has gone to your head. That is so much effort and time and money, and I ain't got time for any of that. I don't even have the money for it, but I'm just saying, that is a lot of effort for some attention. Alright guys, in our third spot is Conor McGregor. I think we can name a few different occasions where fame has gone to the fighter's head. Despite his talent and skill, no one can deny that he is one of the biggest egos in the league. He has a massive fan base, which is a huge part of the reason for his success and fame, but there's been times where he's lashed out on them for taking his picture. One example is when he was arrested and charged in February 2019 after taking a man's phone and smashing it on the ground to destroy it. Conor was walking outside of a hotel in Miami when a fan began to take pictures of him on his phone. He saw the cameras flash and immediately snatched the phone, threw it on the ground, stomped on it, and then picked it up and carried it away. The whole thing was caught on tape, and the man filed a lawsuit against him to sue him for battery, assault, and infliction of emotional distress. He demanded $15,000 for repairs, but the two of them were able to reach a settlement. You know what, if someone did that to my phone, I might have emotional distress too. Winning over the number 2 spot is Michael Jordan. The basketball legend has a handful of stories against him that claim he is just plain mean. One of them comes from the rapper Chamillionaire, who was thrilled to meet his basketball hero back in 2009. He says he crossed paths with Jordan at a party after spending $7,000 for one of his jerseys at a charity auction event before the party started. He says that he saw Jordan posing for pictures with some ladies at the party, so he felt that it would not be a problem to ask for one himself. He approached Jordan, who was sitting next to Spike Lee and Paul Pierce, and asked for a picture. According to the rapper, he responded with a racist term and said that he is not taking pictures with him. He tried to explain to him that he is a huge fan and paid $7,000 for one of his jerseys, and Jordan got mad and said, I quote, "You know what, I tell you what, you pay $150,000 right now for a jersey for me and I will take a picture with you." If that doesn't say that fame has gone to your head, then I don't know what does. And in case you're wondering, Sham the man never got a picture or an apology. Sniping the number 1 spot is Christian Bale. It's hard to forget about his epic freakout moment on set that was caught on tape back in 2009. If for some reason you haven't seen it, during the filming of the Terminator movie, video footage leaked which captured the actor going off on this crazy rant on one of the crew members. You can actually hear the actor yell and cuss for a few minutes at the crew member, who apparently walked behind him while he was filming the scene. You can hear the crew member explain himself and say that he was actually just looking at one of the lights because it's his job. But the actor just continues to cuss at him and calls him an amateur, telling him to stay off the effing set. The fight continued to escalate, and he even threatens to kick his ass and trash his lights. He also went as far as saying that he will quit the movie if the crew member continues to work there. The audacity that Christian Bale has to act like that, I will be damned. He literally was yelling at him for doing his job. Starting us off at number 10 is Terrence Howard. He scored a part in one of the biggest movie franchises in the world after joining the first Iron Man movie cast. It was reported that he got a salary of $3.5 million with the promise of an extra $5 million if a sequel was going to happen, which it was. But that is when things turned sour because the actor was demanding more money and says that he took a $1 million pay cut and then blamed his co-star for it, Robert Downey Jr. Terrence claims that he persuaded Marvel to hire Robert in the first place when they were first casting for Iron Man, and then when his character was going to be cut down in the sequel, he reached out to Robert for help. But apparently, Robert did not return his calls. He didn't respond well to it and got fired from the franchise, claiming that he basically gave Robert Downey Jr. $100 million. As if he didn't earn that with his performance. Up next, number 9 is Christina Aguilera. It's no surprise anymore that some celebrities grow an ego after they achieve fame, but I personally did not expect it from this girl. In the media, she comes off super down to earth and kind, but one actor opened up about a negative experience with her that might prove her fame has gone to her head. Remember Damien from the movie Mean Girls? You know, the too gay to function best friend? Remember the scene where he sings Christina's song Beautiful in the talent show? Well, he had a chance to meet her and was obviously super excited to have that little bonding moment, as anyone would be, but apparently Christina wanted no part of it and wasn't nice about it either. He told Yahoo Movies that she was so rude, and when he met her and shared that scene with her, she said she never saw it and just walked away. Swiping the number 8 spot is Chris Brown. You know your ego is high when you're storming off the Good Morning America set during the middle of an interview, all because you didn't like the question they asked you. This happened back in 2011 when he walked out of the on-air interview, ripped off his shirt like the Hulk, and then smashed a studio window backstage. Apparently he feels like he can act that way because of his celebrity status. But we all know he thinks highly of himself just based off things that he has said. In 2013, during an interview with The Guardian, he said, "I just think I'm a walking art piece, just a ball of creativity." A walking art piece? Listen, I think it is one thing to call yourself a creative human being. That's great. I'm creative as well, but I'm not gonna call myself a piece of art or a walking art piece. In spot number 7 is Robert Pattinson. The Twilight actor is actually known to have a sour attitude, so I am personally not stunned by this information because I've heard it so many times. He's been recorded on multiple occasions dissing his own Twilight movies and also the author who wrote the original novels. I don't really get how someone rips on the thing that made them rich and famous. Doesn't really make sense to me. But people were still a little surprised to see his negative attitude towards his fans, seeing as those are the people pretty much supporting your entire career. When he was interviewed for the German edition of Interview magazine, he spoke about his wild fan base and he questioned what his Twilight fans do with their time all day. He said, "Sometimes I ask myself what these masses of people do the whole day. They sit in front of their computers and comment on anything having even remotely to do with Twilight." He also referred to his fans as a crap group of crazies during an interview with Howard Stern. He seems like a lovely man. Rolling into the number 6 spot is Lea Michele. This one is all based on personal opinion because ever since she skyrocketed into fame from her role on Glee, she's come across as a really sweet girl. During interviews, in public with her fans, she just appears to have a good heart. But in 2017, she was titled as rude after walking off the set of Good Morning America. The big debate is, her interview was over when she decided to just shake Philip and Holly's hand and then walk off set. Apparently, normally the celebrity guests will chit chat with them during the commercial break and then leave, but she quickly got up, just shook their hand, and then peaced. Fans started tweeting out that it was rude. I personally don't find this rude at all. She could have had somewhere to go, maybe she was in a rush. In my opinion, she smiled, she thanked them, and she left. I don't see a problem with that. However, fans said that it was rude. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. Halfway through at number 5, we got Adam Levine. There are a lot of stories out there of people complaining that he isn't a friendly person in real life compared to what we see in the media. You can actually see his personality come through as a judge on The Voice, which he refuses to apologize for. He basically has zero chill and just says things how it is. But one story he's become famously known for is the time when one of his fans asked him for an autograph and he called her ugly instead. The story went viral online after a fan said that she was really excited to meet him, but when she asked for his autograph, he responded with, "I don't give autographs to ugly chicks." Now, it is her word against his, of course, but if that is true, you have to have quite the ego to think that you can say that to someone. Taking over our 4th spot is Catherine Zeta-Jones. It's been reported that she was once extremely rude to an 8-year-old girl who was excited to talk to her about acting. It is no surprise that young girls admire or idolize the actress, many of them hoping to probably be like her one day. But one 8-year-old fan shared her story a few years later, explaining the awkward moment she met her and left completely devastated. Turns out the young girl had the chance to meet her and told her that her dreams were to become an actress. She said, "Catherine turned to me, looked me up and down, and said, said, "You're pretty enough, I suppose," and then went back to her conversation. "I went from feeling at ease in the world to constantly thinking about how everyone was judging me on my appearance." I mean, I don't even know how you respond like that. Like some kids like, "I want to be an actress." My first thought wouldn't be like, "Are you pretty enough?" That's terrible. Taking over the number 3 spot is another Jersey Shore star, Mike Sorrentino, also known as The Situation. The show found immediate fame and his persona became a fan favorite. But his fame, money, and success all seemed to go to his head because he felt like he was in a position where he did not need to pay his taxes. He was first busted back in 2014 after he failed to pay taxes on $8.9 million in income. It wasn't until 2018 that he actually received his punishment and was sentenced to 8 months in prison. He was also ordered to pay $123,913 in restitution, as well as a criminal fine of $10,000. Mike has learned his lesson and actually admitted that he deserved to be punished like everyone else despite his celebrity status, and he is in a much different place than he was back then, so maybe we can be forgiving for this one. Coming in like a wrecking ball at number 2 is Miley Cyrus. She has been a controversial topic for years now. She's not everyone's cup of tea, but she honestly doesn't seem to care. I personally am a huge fan of hers, but the internet seems to feel a different type of way. Her wild behavior is no secret, and some people think she only acts that way because of her ego and her position in Hollywood. I mean, I'd be lying if I said she hasn't gotten away with a lot of behavior that in the real world we would probably be arrested for. Like the time she was caught doing sexual acts with Stella Maxwell at a gas station. Now in real life, you'd be arrested. Instead, Miley gets her picture taken and she can just kind of laugh it off. I get where people are coming from when they claim that the fame has gone to her head. I don't know what she's like in real life, but to be honest, I wish I did. I wish I was her friend. Winning the number 1 spot on our countdown is James Franco. His fame seems to have gone to his head, but in a more serious and concerning way. We often hear about celebrities using their power of fame as a tool to get their way. 5 years ago, he did this when he was trying to rent a hotel room with an underage girl. Screenshots surfaced showing that she admits to being 17, and he actually confirms his celebrity status with her by sending her pictures with her name written on a sign. This wasn't the last time that this happened though. He is currently in a lawsuit after being sued by 2 of his former acting school students who claim that he used his power to sexually exploit them. I think there's more to it than just fame going to his head, but I don't think we can deny that it has something to do with it. Power is a powerful thing. In the number 10 spot is Shaquille O'Neal. Back in 2014, he made headlines after posting a mocking selfie on Instagram next to a picture of a man with a rare genetic disease. The man is Jamel Binion, a regular guy living in Michigan who lives with ectodermal dysplasia, which affects his teeth and his hair. He ended up suing Shaq for $25,000 in damages for emotional distress. In his lawsuit, he claims offensive communications for sharing that photo with more than 8.4 million people worldwide, his followers obviously, and said that it was an invasion of privacy, defamation, and general negligence. Shaq did issue an apology after the lawsuit came, both privately and publicly. He actually tweeted, "Made a new friend today when I called and apologized to Jamel Binion. Great dude, hashtag my bad cuz." Fans were not really impressed with this post in the first place and pointed out that he only thought he'd get away with it because of his celebrity status. Like, no one would ever post that. I don't even know why you thought that that was okay. Coming in at number 9 is Gene Simmons. Some people would say he looks scary with all the makeup he wears as one of the KISS members, but I'm sure it would surprise people to learn that he is rude to the elderly. Apparently. This whole thing started when Modern Family star Eric Stonestreet shared a series of texts from his mom back in 2014. She texted him saying, "I think Gene Simmons is on my flight. Do you think I should go give him a kiss?" Get it? Turns out she's a fan of his and wanted his autograph, but before she could even ask for one, Simmons tried to force her to give up her seat. Eric shared the text from his mom, who explained that he tried to bully her out of her seat when she said no, and made comments like, "It's okay, I just bought the plane." Clearly trying to use his fame and money as a tactic to make her move. But she did not. You stay there, girlfriend. You stay in that seat. Swiping the number 8 spot is Jennifer Lawrence. Does it count as fame gone to your head if you admit that you're rude to your fans on purpose? From the outside perspective, her fans are saying that she is cold to them in person, but from her side, she has intentions behind it. During an interview, the actress admitted to being rude to her fans and said it's how she keeps her defense up. She said, "Once I enter a public place, I become incredibly rude. I turn into a huge They say, "Can I have a selfie?" And I'm like, no. I think that people think we are already friends because I am famous and they feel like they know me, but I don't know them. I have to protect my bubble. She went on to explain that when someone takes a picture of her and then posts it, within 2 seconds they've basically created a marker of her location. Which is totally true. Like, I can totally understand her perspective. I feel like I see both sides to it, but what do you guys think? Has the fame gone to her head? Or is she aware of the fame and this is her way of making sure that it doesn't go to her head? I don't know. Next up is Rihanna. Is it a coincidence that she's following her ex-boyfriend on this list? Maybe. Back in 2012, she was making strange headlines, one of them saying, "Should Rihanna go to rehab and does she have narcissistic personality disorder?" If you don't believe me, just Google it. This is a headline. People were diagnosing her, and the disorder is defined as a constant need for attention and admiration. The articles were even saying that Jay-Z threatened to drop her from his label if she didn't go to rehab. In more recent years, one interviewer brought up the fact that her Instagram was filled with a ton of selfies. She said she had an obsession with self-portraits and said, I quote, "It may be narcissistic, but whatever." I mean, you do you, girl. If I looked like Rihanna, I would probably post selfies all the time too. But hey. Moving along to number 6 is Charlie Sheen. His entire career was riding on his hit TV show 2.5 Men, where he was titled the highest paid actor at the time. He was earning $1.8 million an episode, just to put it into some perspective for you. But apparently the fame and success he was receiving fueled his ego and he demanded a raise. A raise from $1.8 million. It wasn't just like a dinky little raise either. He wanted a 50% raise from the show, and when he got declined, he got angry. He started to publicly insult the creator Chuck Lorre and was dismissed from the series. Later down the road, he was asked if he would ever return, and he said only if he was paid $3 million an episode. He also said, "They owe me a big one," publicly, while they lick my feet. Classy man. Halfway through the list, at number 5 is Kathy Griffin. The comedian slash actress has had a very successful career, which might be why she thought that she would get away with a joke back in 2017. Well, I'm not really sure if I can even call it a joke, but whatever. Back in 2017, she decided to team up with Tyler Shields to do a very controversial photo shoot of her holding a decapitated, bloody head of Donald Trump. The image was so real and graphic that sites actually had to blur it and block it, and same with news stations who were covering the story. When she first posted it to Twitter and saw people's horrified reactions, she began to tweet out that she went too far and she will be removing the picture. She took down the picture and apologized for offending people. But months later, she took her apology back and told the Rolling Stone, I quote, "I'm not sorry, I take the apology back 1000%. In 2019, she actually came out with a TV movie called A President Show Documentary, The Fall of Donald Trump. Is this too far? Let me know in those comments. Cruising into number 4 is Snooki. I was a big fan of hers when she started on Jersey Shore, but she had a bit of a diva moment that a lot of people didn't think was justifiable. Back in 2011, she was appearing at an event held by the Rutgers University in New York, and she demanded an extremely high pay of $32,000. The spokesman for the school said that the students are the ones who canvass for who they wanted to bring in for the budget and funds that they had for a special guest. While some fans were thrilled, other students were furious that their tuition money was going towards paying her to be at the event. She was actually paid $2,000 more than Nobel Prize winner Toni Morrison, who was to speak at their graduation. One student said, "The fact that our school spent more money on her than Toni Morrison is a little ludicrous. Snooki has no accomplishments or achievements that are worth that money." Although I personally feel that that is a little harsh, many people online agreed. In our 3rd spot is Pierce Brosnan. At first glance, you probably wouldn't think that he could be a rude man. His good looks, talent, and charm won over the hearts of many people when he played James Bond in the late 90s. But people's opinions may have changed after talk show host and comedian James Corden revealed that he was rude when he ran into him. While playing a game on his own talk show in 2017, he was asked who the rudest celebrity is that he ever met, and Pierce was his answer. James said he went to see U2, and Pierce was there with some of his friends, and they left halfway through. So James, who was with his wife at the time, moved into that area. as we all do. But then Pierce came and apparently pushed James out of the way, and James tried to like say hi and explain what was happening, but I guess Pierce just put up his arm to block him and wouldn't even acknowledge him. Making our way to number 2, we have Tna Mongeau. The Academy Award winner has been in hot water on many occasions throughout her career for her bizarre and disrespectful behavior. Most recently in 2019, she was fired from her Broadway play Tea at 5 because of her erratic demands on set. Apparently, she was throwing objects at crew members, slapping members of her wig fitting team. She also threw one of her salads on the floor and also insisted that no one wear white to rehearsal because it's distracting. But things got even worse and she got sued by one of her assistants, Michael Rocca, who claimed she verbally harassed him and referred to him as a little homosexual boy. His job was to run around and take care of things that she demanded each day, and he turned in audio evidence of her abuse, where she often used his sexual orientation to demean and humiliate him. I don't know if that's fame gone to your head or if that's just like, you're just plain like not a good person. Taking our number 1 spot is Bob Dylan. It's not totally surprising to think that the Nobel Prize winner might have a bit of an ego. I mean, that is quite the award to win. I might be feeling pretty good if I won that too. There has been a variety of reported incidents where he has come off as a diva. One stagehand who worked on his show said that he is famous for threatening to get them fired if any stagehands make eye contact with him. The employee said, "We aren't allowed to be around when he's playing since we didn't pay for tickets, even though it can take days to set up his show." And you know that Nobel Prize I told you that he won? Well, one Nobel Academy member came forward and called him impolite and arrogant after he refused to pick up their phone calls after the award was announced. I mean, I don't want to assume that he wasn't answering their calls on purpose, but I do understand like you probably should have put some effort into answering their phone calls, seeing as you're about to win the Nobel Prize award. Yeah, and as for the show, come on. Can you imagine like hiding your music like from the people who are setting up your entire show? Like, you can't be near me, you didn't buy a ticket. Like, bruh, you don't have a stage to perform on if it's not for me. Imagine that. In our number 10 spot is John Mayer. No one can deny the fact that he has the voice of a God-sent angel. I mean, my Lanta, that man can sing. He also is not hard on the eyes either. By 2010, he dated Jessica Simpson, Taylor Swift, and Jennifer Aniston. He's always been a ladies' man, and that might be part of the reason for his big ego. During his interview with Playboy, he revealed way too much personal information about his famous relationships and also called his private part a white supremacist. And when I say he has an ego, I am not just like assuming this off my own opinion. The singer himself has actually admitted that. When describing himself during an interview, he called himself a recovered ego addict. Although the recovered part is still very questionable. But I like to give people the benefit of the doubt, and maybe he is working on it. Up next, number 9 is Ariana Grande. For years now, the pop star has been accused countless times for having diva behavior. But each time, Ariana has stuck up for herself and said, I quote, "A lot of times, women are labeled as a or a diva for having a vision and being strong and using their voice, and it's just not the case." But some of her newer singles didn't really help her case. People online called her out for her single called 7 Rings, which came across as incredibly egotistical and insensitive for her split from her fiance, Pete Davidson. The lyrics write about her success and money, and also make a reference to her failed engagement. She sings that she isn't going to be a missus anymore, and instead bought 6 rings for her female friends, which is actually a true story. She revealed to her fans that she got drunk off champagne at Tiffany's with her friends and left the store with 7 rings, and then went home that afternoon and wrote the song. That sounds like a lot of friends. I wish my friends would take me to Tiffany's and buy me a ring. Get drunk. Cruising into number 8 is Justin Bieber. Before his epic return this year, he was off the radar for some time, and his haters didn't seem to mind. Obviously. And although some of his fans were thrilled about his new song Yummy, other people lost respect for him because of it. The song and music video had mixed reviews, but that wasn't the issue. It seemed like the fame had kind of gone to his head a little bit with this album, because he started telling fans to cheat the chart results. Justin posted a guide to his Instagram story giving them strategies on how to cheat the system and push his single to the number 1 on the charts. He told them to create a Spotify playlist of just his song and then basically play it on repeat while they sleep. Some people called him out, saying that it was so desperate for him to try and manipulate the charts rather than just getting valid feedback from his fans. But it just seemed like he wanted that number 1 spot so bad. In spot number 7 is Sean Penn. It's hard to forget this story because it made news headlines, but maybe you need a refresher, or maybe this will be your first time hearing about it. Back in 2013, the actor flipped out on a fan in an upscale San Francisco hotel who took a picture of him on a cell phone. His entire explosive rant was captured and the footage surfaced online. Sean was at the hotel lobby bar when he saw a flash go off from the fan's cell phone. He lunges at the guy and screamed, "Do we look like effing zoo animals?" He probably did the head bobble there too. He then snatches the phone from the fan's hand and then slammed it to the ground and threatened that he would make him eat his cell phone if he didn't get the F out of there. The actor did not stop there though, he actually went and complained to the hotel management. The worst part about the story is that later on we learned that the fan actually attended the sales conference where Sean was speaking at. He even had his name tag on his shirt at the time of the altercation. Like bruh, just let him take a picture of you. Cruising into the 6th spot is Kevin James. The King of Queens star seems like a huge teddy bear in the series, but supposedly he is not the nicest person in real life. Someone came forward and said that he was a waiter for him one time when he asked him if he wanted anything to drink. The actor responded with, "You were told not to speak to me." Apparently, Kevin's security guards went in first and told the waiters and staff to stay a certain distance from him. But the actor spoke on it and denied the story, saying that it is just a rumor. He spoke on it while doing an interview with Jimmy Fallon and said, "Can we check the facts on this one? If there was ever honestly a situation when I needed someone's undivided attention, it's gonna be when I'm ordering food from a restaurant." I mean, he does make a good point. But the question is he just covering up the story because he looked bad? We don't know the full truth, but if the waiter is telling the truth, that is some crazy diva stuff happening there. Like to get your security guards to go into the restaurant first and let everyone know, like, don't look him in the eyes and don't go near him. That's a bit much. Halfway through the list is Roseanne Barr. She had her own TV series titled Roseanne, which ran through the years 1988 to 2018 with a total of 229 episodes. So to say she is famous is an understatement. But it all seemed like that all went to her head when she started to tweet out racist remarks against Barack Obama's former senior advisor, Valerie Jarrett. She referred to her as a child of the Muslim Brotherhood and something from Planet of the Apes. I mean, I feel like you have to feel pretty confident in your position in Hollywood to feel like you can say that and not have any kind of repercussion from it. ABC called an emergency meeting immediately, and just a few hours later her show was cancelled. She issued an apology, but at the same time she also defended herself by saying that she is a comedian and sometimes people get offended by jokes. Which is true, people do get easily offended by jokes. However, not quite appropriate. Very insensitive, and just not right. We've made it to number 4 and we have Miles Teller. He had a promising career for many years, but people saw a different side to him in 2015 and one that they didn't really like. He did an interview with Esquire and for some reason he thought it'd be appropriate to tell the female writer and their waitress that the bar glass was modeled after his private parts, if you know what I'm saying. He obviously used a much more like vulgar term, but for the sake of this channel being shut down, I am not gonna say it. You guys know what I mean. He also had a really sassy attitude and tried to demand the writer to cut his meat for him when their food came. But after the interview came out, he voiced his side saying that things were changed around. He told Vulture, I quote, "If how that story made me look is how I really was, I'd think I was the biggest douchebag too. I know who I am and it's not who I was in that story." So, who do we trust? That is the question. In our 3rd spot is John and Kate plus 8. Well, without the 8. And without John, so basically just Kate. The couple found success with their TLC show called John and Kate plus 8. The show followed the Pennsylvania parents around with their set of twins and set of sextuplets, and what it's like trying to raise 8 kids. But things started to go downhill when both John and Kate were accused of having an affair on each other. You would think once the show ended that their careers would too, but nope. Kate wanted to keep that success and was determined. So she continued on by herself with her own reality TV show called Kate plus 8. She just axed John right out of there. But once that was over, she also went on to do another show called Kate plus Date, where her daughters help her find her next man, which is slightly uncomfortable for me. Taking over our number 2 spot is Kanye West. I mean, do I really need to explain this one? Probably not, but I will. Kanye West has an ego and we have seen it on many occasions. Like the time he stole the mic and interrupted Taylor Swift's award speech, or the time he went on a rant at TMZ and stormed around the entire office, or the time that he called himself God, or maybe the time he said that if he runs for president, he will be elected because he has that control and power. I feel like this list could go on for a while, but even just taking a look at his Twitter page, you get to be a witness to all of that. He is famous for his Twitter rants, which are actually wildly entertaining. Winning our number 1 spot is Amber Heard. It appears that fame went to her head to a point far above everyone else on this list. Maybe you've seen all the crazy headlines lately, but to sum it up for you, the actress was married to iconic actor Johnny Depp, but filed for divorce in May 2016 and showed up to the Los Angeles courthouse with a bruised face, claiming that he threw a cell phone at her face and is abusive. Since then, it has been this huge ongoing lawsuit between the two of them. She claims he is a monster who abused her and threatened to kill her, and he says that she's making all of it up to ruin his career and to get a hefty paycheck. He has actually gone completely broke because of this and has filed a $50 million defamation lawsuit against her, revealing surveillance video that proves her face wasn't bruised after their alleged fight the day she went to court. But I have an update. He may have just won his case after photos and audio footage surfaced where she admits to hitting him. Hashtag Justice for Johnny Depp is trending worldwide, and fans are hoping that he will get his justice in court in August 2020. I'm hoping for it too.